You want to know the strangest part? It was never the crying. The crying was a storm, sure. A hurricane of ugly, gasping sounds that left me waterlogged and hollowed out, my face a swollen, unrecognizable thing in the mirror. But the storm always passed. The strangest part was the silence it left behind. Our apartment, the one we painted on a Saturday with the windows thrown open, developed a hum. A low electric frequency that vibrated up through the floorboards and settled deep in my teeth. It was the sound of a life being unlived, and it was louder than any scream. For weeks. My world shrank to a Bermuda Triangle of grief. The canyon of my unmade bed, the worn divot on the couch, the cold, accusatory glow of the refrigerator light. I existed on a diet of frozen burritos, their chemical cheese dust coating the sink like orange snow, eaten standing up because sitting down required a level of commitment I no longer possessed. Sleep was a lie, I told myself. In the blue-black darkness, my thumb would betray me, enacting its nightly pilgrimage not to his photos, that was amateur hour, but to our shared Google Calendar. I scrolled through the ghost archive of our life. Dinner with parents. Doctor's apt. Ben. Game night. It was a digital autopsy, and I was the coroner, meticulously examining the body of what we were. And I could see his life, a phantom limb still twitching on the screen. Dentist, 10 a.m. Drinks with Mark. Each new entry a clean, precise incision. By day, I was an illusionist. I'd surface for my remote job, stretching my mouth into a smile so bright and brittle it felt like it might crack my face in two for the morning Zoom. I spoke of engagement metrics in a chipper, alien voice while the ghost of last Tuesday's burrito haunted my t-shirt. My boss's voice would become a distant drone, the words washing over me as I drifted somewhere outside my own body. I remember sitting at a red light, and when it turned green, my car just stayed. A symphony of angry horns finally pierced the fog, pulling me back into my own skin with a violent jolt. The only place the mask came off was the shower. I'd turn the water on until it was hot enough to scald, standing under the deluge and letting the tears simply leak out, silent and constant, a quiet stream of failure circling the drain. This wasn't a slump. This was a geological event. The tectonic plates of my world had shifted, and I was living on the new barren continent of this humming, gray, burrito-flavored nothing. The thing that cracked the facade wasn't a moment of clarity. It was a pop-up ad, I swear. It was 3 a.m., the hour of the lost and the haunted. I'd just confirmed that Ben had a haircut scheduled for next week, a detail so mundane it felt catastrophic when it appeared. A blast of violent pink and yellow in my grayscale world. Lost your sparkle? Try our 7-day life reset. It was so offensively, corporately cheerful I actually snorted. The list was an insult. Day 1, erase their digital ghost. Day 2, buy yourself one living thing. Day 3, go on a 15-minute color hunt outside. As if a goddamn succulent could plaster over this crater in my soul. But I looked around the dim cavern of my apartment, at the graveyard of takeout containers and my own haunted reflection in the monitor. What was the alternative? Another night scrolling through our dead calendar? I had nothing left to lose. Fine. I clicked Day 1. The digital erasure? My finger hovered over the button. Remove Ben from calendar. An ice age passed in that second. My heart hammered against my ribs, a trapped bird. What if this was the moment he changed his mind? What if he was trying to add, I made a mistake, come back, and my click would be a final digital door slammed in his face? The fantasy was a sweet, sick poison I'd been living on. I squeezed my eyes shut and pressed down. It was done. The ghost was exorcised from the machine. The silence that followed was different. It was a vacuum. I felt unmoored, my thumb twitching for an icon that wasn't there. But that night, for the first time in a month, I fell into 6 hours of solid, dreamless black. Day 2. Buy a living thing. The thought of a store, the fluorescent lights, and the sheer density of other people's lives felt like preparing for war. But the list was the list. I went to the corner bodega and stood paralyzed before 3 sad-looking plants. I chose a small succulent, a sturdy little thing. Carrying it home, this tiny pulse of green in a cheap plastic pot, felt like carrying an Olympic torch. It didn't fix anything, but it sat on my windowsill, a silent, living witness in all the gray. Day 3. The color hunt. 15 minutes, no phone. Find 5 things that were the color blue. It was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard. The first 5 minutes were torture. My brain screamed for the phone, for the familiar path to the calendar. I saw a man in the same sneakers Ben wore and my stomach dissolved. I almost turned back, but I made myself look. Really look. A tattered blue flyer for a lost cat. A smear of blue chalk on the pavement. The impossible pale blue of the sky wedged between two brick buildings. And for just a few moments, the humming in my head went quiet. The next days were a fragile truce. I wore jeans. I cooked pasta on the stove and ate it from a real plate. Then day 6. A notification bloomed on my phone. 1 year ago today, and there we were. On a beach, his head thrown back in a laugh I could almost hear, my face buried in his shoulder. The air was stolen from my lungs. The craving to find him, to just see his face, was a physical, clawing thing. My hands shook. But instead of diving back into the wreckage, my eyes found the little green succulent. I took one ragged breath. And I did something I hadn't done since it happened. I called my sister. I didn't say hello. The dam just broke. She didn't say it'll be okay. She just stayed on the line, a quiet anchor in the storm. Then she told me a story about her dog, and a strange, rusty sound bubbled up from my chest. It was a laugh. It hurt, but it was mine, day 7. I was just sitting in the living room. I put on an old album, something I loved long before him. And when the music started, I didn't just hear noise filling the void. I heard the music. I could pick out the bass line, the shimmer of the cymbals. My head started to nod. My foot tapped. It wasn't a decision. It was an echo, my body remembering a language I thought I'd forgotten. I saw my reflection in the dark TV screen. I still looked tired, but my eyes were there. They were focused. A quiet thought like the first crocus through the snow pushed its way into my mind. I wonder what I'm going to do this weekend. It wasn't a question filled with dread. It was just an open door. Look, that cheesy ad didn't heal me. There's no checklist for this. Some days the hum comes back. But it was a flashlight in a cave. It showed me where to put my foot next. So if you're out there, sitting in your own silence, do one small thing. Don't worry about the whole list. Just erase the ghost, or just buy the stupid plant. It won't fix it, but it's a start. It's the first word in a new language you have to learn, and that word is mine.